Hello everyone, welcome back to the Jet Podcast, presented to you by IABI. My name is Iyad, and today our special guest is Jets and Partners. Our guest today, Yassine El Moussi, CEO, Jets and Partners, and we have Younes. He's the CCO at Jets and Partners as well. Welcome guys to the podcast.
Happy to be here.
Come in.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. It's bringing back the old days.
Yes, sir.
Of course. Yassine, can you please tell us a little bit more about yourself and the audience?
All right, well, great. Well, my name is Yassine El Moussi, CEO of Jets and Partners. I've been in the game for about 15 years now. I started aviation in 2012. I started one of the first online booking platforms, aircharter.com. Funny stories. I worked under a pseudonym because back in the day I was working out of New York, and having an Arab name was not accepted in the U.S. Aviation market. So a lot of our clients, when I used to introduce myself as Yassine, would hear it as Jesse. So, oh, hi, Jesse, because they did not know about the name Yassine, don't know how to pronounce it, probably never heard of it. I worked for Jetex. I started Jetex first charter department back in 2014, along with Gabriel Madrid and Zach and the rest of the team. Worked for Jetex on the charter department for about 2 years, one of the best 2 years of my life, just because I had a really good acceleration into the Middle East private jet charter industry. I used to be known as Helicopter Yassine. My greatest bookings were on helicopters, from Dubai to Ras Al Khaimah to Abu Dhabi and back and forth. After that, I got a job offer from a head of state in East Africa. So I worked for a private airline owned by an African state, operating 2 aircraft, a Falcon 50 and Falcon 7X. Wow. We operated medical evacuations, diplomatic flights, charters for governments and head of states of the region. And then COVID hit in 2020. So obviously after COVID hit, that kind of put a big dent on the industry. The cool thing about what COVID did is that in the first quarter, so first 3 months of 2020, aviation was booming because everybody had to be evacuated out. And that's how I learned to operate, like last minute evacuations. I remember I got a call from a friend of mine working at the Marrakesh FBO and told me, hey, they're about to lock down borders in 72 hours. So Jetlux kicked off in 2022, successful 2022, successful 2023, successful 2024. It was a great move. And then as Jetlux started growing, we decided to focus on cost optimization. Obviously, operating a business out of the United States is extremely expensive. Revenue was good, but the cost was really high. So as a business owner, one of our first dilemmas to try to lower cost of operation and increase revenue to be able to sustain scalability and growth all across the world. So we had open global offices in Mexico, in the US, in London, in Casablanca, Hong Kong, Dubai. And today we are planning our expansion 6 months into the business. We've already generated millions of dollars in revenue and being able to scale the business from Casablanca to LA to Dubai. And at the same time, we've decided to fill in some gaps and work on the academy, IABI and ABP. I learned that in order for you to have a successful business model, you have to impact a large community of people and not a small one, right? So it's just the theory of having a small medical office versus a clinic, right? You can satisfy more people in a clinic than you can in an office. So in 5 minutes, that is, my career path.
Beautiful, man. And still more to come because we had our own experiences together. But I was introduced to Younes this year, actually. Yeah. And Younes, it was a pleasure to know you. It's a pleasure to meet you in person, finally. Can you please tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Younes Ezzaki. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at Jets and Partners and partner with Yassine at Jets and Partners. And I kind of feel this is going to be a long trip down memory lane because I have to dig into all these past memories to figure out where I came from and how I landed here. Because the closest I got to aviation until I met Yassine was a flight simulator at home, right? Okay. That was my relationship with aviation up until like, what was it, March?
That's kind of how it starts, though.
I think.
That's kind of how it starts. Simulator, a discovery flight.
That's how it starts. I mean, I did have a couple of flying hours on a Cessna 152. here and there.
I recently learned he was a pilot. I didn't know that before.
He's still learning things about me.
Yeah.
I don't have my license fully.
We're partnered for 6 months.
Yeah.
And he's
And in aviation, and I think I learned this week that the guy has that's started his pilot
lost
license.
his
He has
license.
more
He lost his
hours on a plane than I do in a cockpit.
So
yes, so.
basically, my journey started. So 2011, I met someone. So she approached me. I'll tell you later on, maybe another day, who that was. But it was a really high net worth individual, an important person who approached me and said, "Hey, I'm launching a jewelry brand, and I want you to help me with, storytelling, finding with gemstone buying, and I just really need somebody who I can trust and somebody who will be loyal and somebody who speaks well to people, somebody who can maintain relationships well, because the jewelry business is heavily dependent on really, really good relationships, regardless of how much money you have." So 2011, so I joined that team. I joined that person in setting up a jewelry workshop in Rabat, Morocco. And we were focusing on hiring local talent, local craftsmen, to make really fine art jewelry pieces, right? And we're talking like 6-figure, 7-figure price points when it comes to these things.
Of course.
So I was handling the marketing and just admin side of things before we grew a little bit more, further down the road. I was handling, imports, exports, customs, compliance, marketing. I had like 7 or 8 hats, depending on the day. Was travel to Hong Kong, Paris, New York, meet people, sell these things, buy gemstones and bring them in. So I did that for 10 years, up until late 2019. That's when I decided to switch things up a little bit, because it was 10 years of unstable life, traveling everywhere around in one way or the other.
And then he came to aviation,
And then
thinking it was going to be stable.
Yes, thinking it was.
What is wrong with you?
A lot of things are wrong with me.
I lived a 10-year unstable lifestyle.
So I
and
joined
then,
private aviation.
I'm joining now private aviation for a stable lifestyle, man.
So, and then I realized the corporate world was not for me at all, because I thought I wanted predictability, but then I realized that predictability killed all my passion and creativity. Like waking up at 6:30 or 7, and Toronto is not a summery place, and it gets really, really cold, like -20, -25, easy.
Yeah.
So it kind of got to me a little bit, and then I thought it was time to try something new, and that's when I got into real estate. It was a lot of fun, selling $1 million homes, $2 million homes. It was a pretty nifty experience. Got to meet some really awesome people. Had a mentor. That's when I really got into like fast sales, because jewelry, I was into sales, but it was a really long life cycle. You would meet someone in January and they'll end up buying something from you 2 or 3 years down the road.
Oh, wow.
Because it takes time to make those things. It
Right.
could take up to 4 or 5 years to make some really complex timepieces or jewelry pieces. So it was time to come back and bring him closer to family. But I had no idea what I'm going to get myself into next. That's when I reached out to Yassine, actually. So I reached out to Yassine over on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, I like what you're doing and I want in," right? He answered me pretty quickly after
Pretty reactive LinkedIn.
6 or 7 hours. He
Pretty
was a reactive salesperson.
As soon as
right?
I'm done with the emergencies, I get on my LinkedIn and I check people out.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Answered me on LinkedIn. Did an interview with the previous company that both him and I were affiliated with. Got in, came back to Morocco and settled in Casablanca, Morocco. That's where I am now. And then we went a different direction with Yassine, partnered up to create Jetson Partners.
Wow.
6 months going. It's really, really short time. I don't think people realize how little that time is compared to what we've actually accomplished, right? Yeah. I think that our leadership and our knowledge combined, Yassine and I are very different. Like we think differently, we see things differently, we have different opinions on nearly everything, and I think that's what makes it beautiful is because we butt heads and think about things in a really critical perspective.
We really do.
Good. That's good.
A lot. Yeah.
We kind of step on each other's toes every once in a while, but that's how you stay on your toes and kind of maintain a critical thinking mindset. And I think that's what got us to where we are today so quickly, And yeah,
God bless.
the best is yet to come.
Of course,
Best
of
is yet
course.
to come.
Well, I'll tell the audience something about Yassine. Yassine is not just a deal maker. So Yassine, at some certain point of time, we were working together. He was the CBO. I was the sales manager, the fleet sales manager. We were partners at the same time. Like after that, we were partners for a while. Always been a good friend. But I remember the first deal we made together. Okay, so I'm working with an operator. Yassine is booking a flight with me. And I'm like, okay, Yassine, listen, we've been working together for a while. I'm moving from this operator to another operator. And I appreciate your business. Keep sending business to me. And he's like, really? Are you moving to another operator? I was like, yeah. He was like, can you get on a call? I was like, of course. It was 11 p.m., okay? We got on a team call.
It was a late night call. I do remember
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes. It was 11 o'clock at night. We jump on the team call. He's like, okay, watch this. He's like, this is the system we use for coding. This is the system we use for communication. This is the desk that we have. This is the
In
fleet
my
that
mind, he was hired. That's it. It was, I want it, I get it. It was introduction to our platform.
Yeah, he
it
was
was
like-
not an interview. It was like, here's how we work.
Yeah,
Here's your
literally.
login. Here's your access. Get to
done
work.
literally, it was not an interview. Literally, it was, this is the systems, this is the fleet we have, this is how operation, this is the offices we have, and you're gonna be working with us. Yes or no? I was like, Yassine, okay, no problem. Let me
He's
think
like,
about
"Oh,
it
let
tomorrow.
me think about it.
He's like, no. It's either a yes or a no. I was like, God damn, let's go.
He closed you.
He closed me. Yes. So we joined forces, and since then, it's been endless nights. And you're talking about stability. Forget that about private aviation. I mean, God damn.
I think Iyad, what's important to understand, even when you're running a business or when you're starting a business, is that when you're hiring people or you're trying to build a team, the best way to test people out is just by throwing them in the water. This is what I learned in the US. I learned that no matter what's on your CV, it has no value. What has value is what you're able to bring to the table, what you're able to deliver. And in most businesses in the United States or in the Western world, it's all about execution. You could have the greatest bachelor's, master's, doctorate's degrees and whatnot, but if you're unable to deliver, you're unable to execute, you have zero value to a business. So the reason why I had that interview with you and I just gave you the systems, I wanted to understand your reaction to that because we had built a really solid system.
Yeah, I remember.
As a new business, we were really proud of the infrastructure that we had built, the tools, how everything is integrated, how we flow, how our internal processes are. And I wanted to see your reaction. And I wanted to see if that made sense to you. And when I did identify the spark in your eye, and I said, okay, this guy understands what we built, values it, he's the right guy. So we had to close that deal that same night. Yeah, it was an 11 p.m. call. We had to close the deal that same night because I had a position to fill. I needed the right person.
Right.
And I saw that you were unhappy in your previous role, and I dealt with you on a one-on-one basis.
Of
I saw
course.
your value. I saw how well you treated me as a broker. I said, this is the right guy to handle my broker client. So that's why I insist and I closed it. I think what transpired after that was just amazing. You were a good hire.
It was a beautiful journey, man. I'll be honest with you. It was a beautiful journey. I was actually speaking to Gabrielle the other day. I was like, listen, man, you know what? We went different ways, but I still had a great time working. We had a great team, momentum, and man, the deals. Tell me, what kind of a challenging flight you had? Let's talk about those stories. What kind of challenging flight you had?
Listen, man, when you're in aviation, when you're a broker for let's say more than 7-8 years, you're tired of those simple flights.
Right.
They don't excite you as much as in the beginning. So I have developed a attraction to the most complicated charters on earth. And that's been the last 5 years. I think since we've been working together. Not even one of my flights is a simple flight.
No,
everything is challenging, from timings to schedules to crew
payment
duties, to payments
to paperwork to permits.
Select your category of craziness, and I have a story for it.
Right.
Is it financially crazy, or is it operationally crazy, or is it a client demand crazy, or what kind of story do you want?
well, I'll tell you mine, and then you jump on yours. So I remember there was a war started in the Middle East somewhere, and we wanted to do an evacuation flight. It was 4 a.m. in the morning. It was me, you, Francisco, and Sam on a call, on a Teams call. It's the four of us. And I have on the phone, I'm speaking to the CEO of one of the biggest companies, brokerages in the US, and he has 5 of his team brokers, all of us. So 9 people on a call, 4 a.m. Miami time. And we're discussing the evacuation flight. And the thing is, every minute the situation gets worse and more operators are pulling out and saying, no, we can't do it, we can't do
That's
it.
the thing about these war evacuations, that time is critical. That's why execution is extremely important. So when it's time to evacuate, it's now.
It's now.
Not in an hour. It's not in 2 hours. We have to deploy insurance. We have to deploy aircraft. We have to deploy crew. We have to make sure everything is good on ground to be able to evacuate. So it's so much logistics that has to be implemented. That's why it's super important. Every time that somebody has an evacuation flight or is trying to get out of a situation, time is critical. So we have to make a decision immediately.
Right.
We don't have time to shop around. We don't have time to think about different variables. It's go now. It's like in a car accident or in a crash, you gotta go. Kind of like what happened on the way here earlier.
Yeah.
We almost got into a crash earlier.
We almost got into a car accident coming here.
Because we're aviators, we know how to take action real quick. It's like boom, boom, we're out of the lane. Thank you very much. Bye, guys.
And it's the first time that I almost got into an accident, and it felt like it was like, well, okay, all right, well, we're getting in an accident right now. I was on my phone texting, and I saw that Toyota Camry just
Slam its brake,
coming at us as like it was really fast.
Like, hello.
And I was like, okay, like what else can I do?
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Deal with it, Jetex Partners.
We'll deal with it when we deal with it. But I think that just going back to the execution part, I think that people really underestimate the importance of good execution and reactiveness, and people focus a bit much on experience and what they have on their resume. If, for example, if I'm hiring someone, I'm probably spending not more than 10, maybe 15 minutes tops in an hour interview on their experience and their resume. The rest of the interview is just basic conversations about life. What do you do in your spare time? How did you get where you are today? And I would ask them really complicated questions to see how they would react, right? Because when I first started, I had this lady, this person ask me, hey, can you do this for me? Can you build a jewelry workshop? Can you go and buy stones? Do you know anything about stones? I said, no, but I'll find out. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And what I'm looking for in a person, in a hire, is somebody who's not afraid at all of challenges. And it's okay to not know, but it's not okay to not take action about it. So execution is really key. Yeah. Reactiveness is key. And to me, it's something that I value more than your 20 years of experience as a manager in a top company, because for all I know, you've been sitting behind a desk for 20 years, right? And just telling people what to do, but you have to be capable of doing it yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with that trip, again, every minute they're like, we're talking to the client, and then we come back. Okay, we're ready to book.
Yeah. Price increased
because insurance increased, and options are getting less. This option is gone. We have the next option. Yeah. They go back to their client. They come back. This option is gone.
Yeah.
Until finally we closed the deal. We did the 280 passenger evacuation, done deal, and we moved to the next one. That's it.
It's something that I had to adapt to personally, to be honest with you, because every industry I've worked with was a long sales cycle. It was, I'm not gonna say slow pace, but it takes time to push it through the pipeline, right? And when it gets to the point of closing the deal, even at that point, it's a little bit slow.
Still things come up.
There's a lot of paperwork, there's customs, and people understand that the process is going to be slow and painful. But when it comes to aviation, people do not care. They don't care that the plane needs to be fueled.
Go now. It's got to go now.
They don't even care that the plane needs to be fueled. Like, hey, we got to go. We're late.
That's kind of like aircraft sales. Aircraft sales is a long cycle. It takes us between 3 to 6 months between the pre-buy inspection, between getting the paperwork in, reviewing the logbooks, and going through negotiation and the final terms. And sometimes it works. Sometimes we need to find another option for the client. But it's a longer cycle. But when we talk about private jet charter, It's now. You received the
It's now,
message.
now.
You received the message.
Ready to go.
I want to go now. I want to take off right now. And it's always something. Man, listen, I agree with you. I don't know, for some reason, we always attract these struggling flights. Remember the one we had with 80, when we had more pets than humans?
We had 60 passengers and 70 pets.
Yeah,
And that's not pets. I'm saying animals.
Yeah, exotic animals.
All
Wild
species. All species from the Caribbean to South Florida. We had to operate 60 passengers and 60 animals.
Right.
So we had to get every
paperwork,
every
like-
authority involved. You know, from
Vaccinations, documentations, pet passports. That was kind of fun.
And that's when people are not dying on a plane.
Right. That's
Medical evacuations. It's a whole different animal.
as well.
Yeah. So I was looking on LinkedIn the other day. One of our friends, Mark, he shared a message when he was working on an evacuation flight for his sick client, and then they delayed the flight, and then the message he received that the client
Oh, the person died. Yeah.
passed away.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And it's like, it's quick. You need to move. You need
It
to.
gets to you.
Yeah.
Medical evacuations are very different from
Personal.
everything that we do on. Yeah, they're more personal.
They're more personal.
I don't think
More life saving and very personal to me. I think it is the saddest and happiest flights that I've ever dealt with. So when things do go wrong, makes it just destroys your day, your week. And when things go well, it just makes your week.
Right.
You're very proud to have helped save a life or fixed the situation for somebody and got them home safely or back to their family where they're passing away and they need to spend the last hours of their lives with their family. So medical evacuation is just so sensitive. I usually handle those personally in the company. I don't take risks with those. Those are the kind of things where I just drop what I'm doing and just jump on it, whether I'm at family dinner or in a meeting or running businesses. Stop what I'm doing, jump on the medical evacuation.
Of course.
Yeah. People don't realize that private jets, flying privately is the fastest thing you can get to go from A to B.
Yep.
Right. The next thing is teleportation. Right. So commercial is not nearly as fast, let alone driving. So people have to realize that a life is on the line, and if somebody calls you and says, "I need a private jet, I need to get my dad or mom or cousin to a hospital right now," it is right now. And actually, Yassine doesn't know this, but we had a similar case of somebody sending us a message through our website. And what I tell our guys is you have to get on the phone with people within a minute,
Right.
within 120 seconds tops. 5 minutes, you're late, right? Just don't even think about it. And it's because if you have a medical emergency, it has to be dealt with right away, right? And Sammy, he gets on the horn with this lady in South Africa within a record time, like within 40 seconds.
40 seconds, yeah. That's what it was.
He gets on the phone with that lady. She said, "Oh yeah, let me get back to you." Hangs up, picks up the phone again. Next thing she tells him, "My dad died."
Wow.
So
God, that's so-
that's how critical it is. Where if you're late by just a minute, you're gone.
True. True.
Everything hangs by a thread.
True.
So we have to be very reactive. We don't do it just because we want to piss people off. We want to be annoying to our team. We do it because it is an absolute necessity.
Critical.
Absolute necessity.
And they remember you for it. Like, I still have a client that texts me all the time. She's like, it's like, you saved their life. You saved their parents' life.
Yes.
You saved,
Yeah.
like, you
Those are
gave them.
the best customer feedbacks I've ever gotten.
Right.
So it's my favorite ones. Yeah.
Going back to crazy private jet stories. What do you have for me?
Well, I Medevac my wife once.
Okay.
Glad that one went well. She's still around. Alhamdulillah. We were living in East Africa back then, and she had broke her forearm, and I had to get her out to Switzerland as soon as possible to get her medically treated. And first available plane was a private jet. So yeah, that is the craziest one that hits home. But no, I mean, like I said,
I'll tell you.
the topic, and I'll go with crazy. The craziest financially, craziest operationally, craziest on board, craziest what?
Crazy operation. Let's go. Because that's what matters. Because that's what changes the That's what differentiates a good broker than an incompetent broker.
I think craziest operations, obviously operating out of war zones is I mean, I wouldn't label it as crazy, but label is absolutely intense. It's time sensitive. It's people in desperate situations. You got to not only make sure that they get out of there, but don't take advantage of them. You got to make sure that they're well cared for, and they're still flying private. So there's a minimum service you got to provide, right? So people that are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars or a few $1,000s to get out on a private jet needs to still have the private jet service. So we've operated out of Lebanon, we've operated out of Sudan, we've operated out of Somalia, we've operated out of Israel, we've operated out of Venezuela, we've operated out of Cambodia. We've done a fair share of operationally complex flights to get people out of very, very critical situations.
Okay.
Those are the flights that I attract a lot, especially nowadays.
So typical.
It's the flights that, just call my name, and we don't do them necessarily with direct retail customers. We work them with brokers. So a lot of brokers that we deal with are stuck in these situations. They have one of their good clients that are stuck in these places, and they just need help with real professionals that know the industry and specialize in war evacuation. So not only do I operated crazy flights, I actually specialize in operationally complex flights.
There you
personally, but the rest of the team, I mean, we do a little bit of everything. But yeah, so let's get let's dig in deeper into detail. What kind of story are you looking for?
Okay, no, let's move. Let's go to the. Let's take for example French Montana. You remember?
He wants to make you go through a very particular story.
I know.
Yeah,
I want him to ask the question directly.
Yeah. No, I remember.
Go for it. I think he's gonna try it out.
I remember French Montana's flight. How was it critical for us? How we worked. We were with them Friday, all night, like till 4 a.m. and then they continue their life. We still gotta wake up at 8 a.m. and serve our other clients. Yeah. And then Saturday, same thing, until it flew to Colombia, right? Yeah. And then in Colombia, he got the CBP. Held him back.
Man, the guys fly under the Coke Boys labels going to Colombia. What do you think is gonna happen?
Going to Colombia, so.
Coke Boys are in Colombia. All right, let's search them.
They stopped his plane. They were like, "We need to investigate this."
I remember his manager's like, "What the heck?
Bag of Coke.
Why the heck are they searching us?" I'm like, "Dude,
Coke Boys.
Your label is Coke Boys. You're in Colombia."
Yeah.
That was crazy. And I remember at the same time as well, like when he arrived from Colombia, it was 1 a.m. and he arrived to Miami at our beautiful FBO. And then he decided he wants to go now to California. Remember?
Yeah, LA.
And we're like, it's already 1 a.m. Most operators, they already put their crew to rest. Like, how are you going to find crew that is ready, fresh now to do a 5-hour flight?
At 1 a.m.
Give us a call.
Yeah. And we actually did.
Yeah, we made it happen.
We actually made it happen. I remember, what's the catering? Do you remember?
I think it was McDonald's.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell, yeah. We picked up Taco Bell.
He was like, I want Taco Bell. We're like, are you sure, man? Like we can provide like a full catering right now, steak stuff.
We're here to deliver anything you need, right? So that's...
Who other celebrities did you flew?
Listen, man, throughout 15 years of career, I've probably done them all. I would say... I mean, name them. I'll say yes or no if you want. But the list is very long, from Middle Eastern to Asian to Blackpink, Shahrukh Khan, to Angham, Tamer Hosni, to Maître Gims in Africa, Burna Boy, flew all Real Madrid pretty much, whole FC Barcelona stars. Some footballers I don't even know about, and I hear in the office, my God, that's a star. I'm like, I didn't even have time to even look into football in the last 5 years, so I didn't even know that they're the stars. But local celebrities, international celebrities, rappers in the US, P. Diddy, we've done DJ Khaled, done Future, we've done Bad Bunny, we've done Mexican artists, we've done... I mean, like I said, just throw a name and I'll say, hey, does that sound familiar on our passport list or not?
And so what flight was actually special, that like it was special for you? You still remember till this day, for a celebrity, what happened in the flight? Tell me more.
So I think one of the most special flights to me is, when I was young in my career, I used to used to listen to Maître Gims a lot. You know,
Oh, yeah?
a lot of respect for the guy. I mean,
Don't strike me as a mess.
great artist, represents Africa. I'm African, you know, big fan of him. And I think that when I flew him for the first time, I think it was 2017 or 2018. That was, you know, very special to me. I remember driving up to Tangier myself and going on the tarmac to welcome the guy and say, hi, you know, nice to meet you. I'm super proud to fly you. Was flying on a tour. I remember his Fuego tour. Had this tour called the Fuego Tour in 2017. And we had flew him to a few countries from Africa to Europe and back. For me, that was the most marked one because I was really proud as a young broker, you know. It was the first year of my own business. And he flew through my own company, one of my first clients. And super proud moment. I listened to his music for like a month straight after that.
Of course, support.
And then I'd go in the radio and I listened to his songs. And I'm like, oh my God, I just flew the guy. And I'm doing his tour. That was super cool. But then, you know, as you advance in your career, you start doing more and more celebrities. So you become numb to them. I also remember one of the coolest celebrities I've ever done work with was Will Smith.
Oh, really?
Great guy.
Humble,
Super humble, energetic, great actor, great person. We went all around the world with him, with Zach and Gabo back in the day. It was just an amazing experience. Met him in Dubai, met him in Morocco, flew him all the way to Kilimanjaro, to India, Dubai, Marrakesh. It was just great experiences with celebrities. I think that's what's the most beautiful about our industry is that we have the chance to be part of really, really special people's lives. And not only you're managing a service for them, but you're managing their logistics. So you get to be involved with their bodyguards, with their personal assistants. You understand their entourage and their teams. You get to be exposed to these people. And you have an important piece of the puzzle for them. You're their logistics, their private jet logistics broker. And what that does is that makes you understand how these celebrities function on the back end. What you know, when you see a celebrity and you see an entourage, you're like, wow, that's a cool
lifestyle
entourage.
expectation.
But every single person in that entourage has an important, vital role in that celebrity's logistics, lifestyle, day to day, right? So we got exposed to that a lot. We kind of understood how they work, how they function, which makes us even better in our jobs. Because now today, I know that my job is not to serve the A-lister, it's not to serve celebrity, it's to serve the people in charge of logistics. So who I target as well is I don't never target a celebrity.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Their assistant, the tour manager.
I always target their entourage that have a need for powerful logistics professionals to be around them and to assist them in getting those services done.
Yeah, they are the actual decision makers.
Of course,
Right?
correct.
It's not the end user, because those end users tend to trust whoever is going to
Their circle.
their personal assistants, their concierge. All right, I'll go with whatever you book me.
Right.
Which is what led us back in the day as well to build a business model around that. So in today's world, we noticed that, you know, there's a lot of private jet brokers out there, right? So anybody that has access to a good network says, hey, you know, I think there's money in jets. Let me go start a company.
Anybody with an email address, really.
Right. Phone number.
Unregulated market.
Iyadbroker@gmail.com. Boom,
Right.
broker.
There you go.
What we specialized in is we found the right gap. What was that gap? The gap was people need strong support infrastructure to execute because they have access to these VIPs. So they have access to the network, they have access to the tenders, they have access to the flights, but they need execution. So being a broker going straight to an operator without having relationships, the necessary volume to be able to be important to your suppliers, without understanding the operational components of aviation, without understanding technical components of aviation, without understanding the models of aircraft that you need to utilize for these trips, the price points of operating an aircraft so you can negotiate good prices, right? So we built a powerhouse that served affiliates and brokers around the world. So we did not want to focus on retail customers. We wanted to focus on volume to be able to leverage volume with our suppliers and then use that volume to then satisfy more customers and grow. So we specialize in affiliate. We specialize in satisfying brokers because all of these affiliates and brokers that are involved in aviation, whether concierge companies or travel agencies or they're like online as well, online booking agencies, they need a strong powerhouse to not only source aircraft, but also execute on these flights, be their backups.
Follow up the operation.
If things go wrong, follow the operation, make sure everything goes well. So we specialize in that niche. Today, I don't target direct flyers anymore. I target the industry. Right. So the industry relies on me to be able to execute on these flights. And this is what's beautiful about when you do have experience, when you do grow in the industry, is that you now start focusing on helping the smaller firms around you grow as well and satisfy their needs. Which is why it's important for people starting, new in the business, your IABI students or IABI affiliates that are now, joining the industry. They need to focus on having strong partnerships with other brokerage firms so that they can, learn aviation with a quick acceleration into the industry, and then have a strong powerhouse really support them in case things do go wrong or in case things do not go as planned.
Every time they do go wrong. So
I think 90% of flights that I've operated through my career do not go as planned.
Right.
So,
in one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's always something. It's always something. Whether it's a ground transportation problem, whether the catering went to another aircraft, whether the delay from the ATC, delay from the crew, it's always something going on.
I think the biggest issues that we deal with is more operational things. With control towers, ATC, or with permits and slots, and being able to get necessary authorizations to operate last minute flights. It's because private aviation is such a last minute industry. People think that they could just pick up the phone, call a broker, make a payment, and take off. It is not as simple as that. I know a lot of brokers do make it seem as that's what it is, but I think every trip that we do, whether it's a small one-way or complex trip, there's at least 12 to 20 people working on a flight.
Right.
Between the booking agent to the ops teams, to the authorities, to the ground handlers, to the crew members that operate the flight, there's at least 12. I mean, for simple flights, like simple one-ways, I'd say about 12. But more complex flights can be up to 22 people working on a single trip.
True.
Yeah, it's like a big airport, right? I'm not sure if you've ever seen those airline documentaries that go on National Geographic. Like, you would just walk on a mega big Airbus A380, walk into a plane, sit down, fly for 6 hours, you make it home, but you don't realize the entire operation that just happened behind making that flight happen.
And what kind of issues popped up for them.
Your luggage arrived on time. You
didn't
lose it.
You're blessed.
Your pet didn't die, even though he was sitting on the cargo hold.
Right.
The pilot, for all you know, had 5 emergencies, 5 alarms in the flight deck, and you were just
sitting
in the back, just sleeping. But again, that's the beauty of going with somebody who has experience
and knows what he's doing.
Somebody who has the knowledge of how to handle challenging situations. Because as Yassine said, you can go with an operator, or you can go with your cousin, but you have no certainty that everything will go as planned. So it's the same thing that I had back in my days in real estate. Like, that's how I used to be the competing cousin realtor, because the dad or the mom didn't want to upset her sister, so she would go with the person that she knows the most. But at the end of the day, is that person the right fit for you?
Yes.
Right? Are you doing a person a favor, or are you trying to sell what you're trying to sell?
True.
Are you trying to get home safely? Are you trying to sell your home? Are you trying to find the right car for you? Whatever that may be, working with a person who knows is the essence of structure.
At the end of the day, I mean, the client, they get what they pay for, what they trust for. You get a trusted broker. They know exactly how to handle your situation. They can imagine how are you sitting in the FBO right now, waiting or expecting delays, and it matters. It makes a lot of difference. I have a celebrity story for you. We were together as well with this one. So I remember I was in Miami. Usually I try to attend every flight I have. I try to go to the airport and greet the clients and make sure everything's on point. So I know it's a celebrity that's flying with us. I read the name. It's not like something that I would know, anyways, I'll tell you in a few. I go to the airport. I'm making sure tequila. That's the story, includes tequila. So this guy needs his Cuban sandwiches and the kind of tequila that he wants. I made sure we had everything for him. And I was having a conversation with him. We're talking about aviation. He was like, yeah, my friends bought a plane. Maybe I want to buy a plane and things like that. So I was like, okay, perfect. Can I have your number? He was like, yeah, sure. So he gave me his number and I asked him, may I get your name? And he looked at me like this.
How do you not know who I am?
Like,
Yeah.
like he looked at me like this.
Iyad had no idea who he was talking to.
Right.
One of the
You're
biggest,
not good with names and faces.
biggest Latin American, singers.
Latin
out there.
America. I'm not from Latin America.
Yeah, he
Okay.
had no idea who he was talking to. I remember this vividly. How the heck do you not know who that guy is?
I don't know why.
I grew up in Morocco.
I'm not surprised.
I grew up in Morocco and I still know my reggaeton artists, man. Where were you?
Brother.
Where did they hide you?
I'll tell you.
You grew up listening to reggaeton or no? Daddy Yankee, Gasolina. No,
I know.
doesn't ring a
Of
bell?
course.
I don't know out of my way to listen to them, but I know them.
Yeah. So he looks at me. He's like a little bit weird. And then he asks me, where are you from? I was like, I'm Arab American. He was like, that's why. You can save me as Zion. So it turned out to be Zion, the artist. And what happened here, actually, he fell in love with me because I was giving him this much attention and I was making sure everything is happening correctly. And I didn't even know who is he. Yeah. While everybody around us is trying to pamper him, make him feel happy because they know and because they know who he is. And literally, I was standing, waiting for them to go to onboard the aircraft. Before he goes, he actually walked to me, hugged me, and shook hands, flew. And until today, we speak together. Until today, he flies with me. And it's just became a relationship, an authentic relationship where I gave you my best regardless of knowing who you are. And he's actually, I think, coming in a few months here to Dubai. We're going to meet him here. But yeah, I mean, stories like this was what you learn, for example, how to deal when you set expectations, what the clients expect. Yeah. These are ultra high net worth individuals. They have certain standards that most people don't expect or think that they will ask for it.
The key thing when you're dealing with celebrities is to treat them, first of all, you want to treat them like, regular people. You don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. Yeah. You don't want to make them feel like you are after, 100%. The clout of being around them and whatnot. So that's the minimum level of professionalism you want to do. Second thing is they're human just like us, right? They're just regular people.
True.
A lot of the general public, the fan base is extremely impressed with this kind of person, which, they are impressive. They did not reach the status that they have because they're unimpressive, but you want to make sure that you're providing them the right level of service like you would to any client, not more, not less, because more is exaggerated and less is underrated. So you want to make sure that the same level of service is given to A-list celebrities, to ultra high net worth individuals, businessmen, patients on medical evacuations, people that are getting evacuated out of a war zone. Everybody needs to be treated in the same manner, with precision, with elegance, and with execution.
True.
On the right price point, obviously.
And they would appreciate it, if they feel that you're treating them just like a regular person, they'll feel more connected to you. They'll feel that you're more trustworthy because they'll feel you're not there because they are there. They'll feel that you're there just to do your job, and then they'll trust you more and they'll feel more confident around you.
Of course. So AOG is part of the industry.
Like 50% part.
If I don't have it, if I don't have it,
you wouldn't have a job.
Right. Yeah. No, if I don't have an AOG within like 2-3 days span, I'll just make my own AOG just to have the drama, But
what a drama.
drama. Like, anyways.
Don't book with you.
Don't book with me. I'll AOG it. So, but you guys. So, what was your last AOG, and how did you handle it?
Our last AOG was a really easy one. We had, I think we had 24 hours in advance notice. We were just able to swap out an aircraft. It was from a trip from New York to LA. I think it was a battery failure. So we were able to really quickly swap out an aircraft with 24-hour notice.
24 hours, I mean.
The most complicated AOGs is when you have it on board. The most impossible AOGs is when you have it in flight. Those are extremely, extremely rare, but they do happen.
They do happen.
And aircraft are prone to having failures, and this is okay from new ones to older ones. But the biggest onboard AOG I've had was on a 1987 Falcon 50 operating a flight from Moscow to Dubai, where we had on the belly of the aircraft was the water tank. We had a leak of the water tank that we were unaware of. So when the aircraft went to Moscow to drop off the clients and then prepare to fly them back, they did not de-ice the did not de-ice the aircraft properly. So what happened, or I'm sorry, it's not that they did not de-ice. They did not empty out the water tank properly. So water remained, and obviously when it froze, it expanded. So then it cracked the water tank. And then when that crack happened, when they took off, obviously the plane warms up after takeoff, and then
Leaks.
and then it leaked, and then it froze again, so that it expanded. And then what it caused is it caused some flight instruments to seize mid-flight. And I remember I got a call from the captain about an hour before landing in Dubai to, hey man, we got a big problem on board. I cannot control the aircraft properly. I need to be able to declare emergency landing. Give me an hour, I'll update you. But right now we're stable, we're flying in, but we're gonna have a bit of an issue on landing. Let's alert authorities that they may be a problem. So we called our handler Jetex at the time, let them know that we might be having a problem on board, to expect, alert authorities. We would confirm this, about 30 minutes before landing. Of course, 30 minutes before landing, we had the most amazing, most professional, Maverick style pilots on board. Guys were great. They fought with the flight controls to be able to land properly. We had zero problems on landing. It was just, from preventative measures that we made sure that the airport was locked down, and firefighters and authorities alerted. But clients had no idea what was going on. Clients were flying, as you were told. So saying earlier, they had no clue. Flight was smooth. The pilots were fighting with the controls to be able to maintain the aircraft stable and get them down. But everything went well, except at the moment when the clients realized that there are firefighters all around the runway.
I was like, what's going on?
Ambulances on standby just in case. But thank God nothing happened. That was the closest call I've ever had to an onboard AOG. Yeah, so yeah,
Proper execution.
Yeah. Well, onboard actually AOG, I agree with you. It's really to happen. Mine. I don't know if you remember. It was actually the last one was with you. We were together. So you remember how we were a team? You handle the client. I get the planes. I get the price. So the sourcing. So I remember we booked a flight from Palm Beach from Miami to New York. Okay, and we got a really crazy good price. The client takeoff
comes at a price.
Yes. So the client takes off, and then he calls us like 40 minutes later. He's like, "Why am I in Palm Beach?" And Yassine calls me, "Iyad, why are we in Palm Beach?"
I was on a flight. I just landed, and I got a call from the client saying, "Hey, I'm supposed to go to New York. I'm in Palm Beach. What the heck's going on?"
Yeah, he's like, "Why am I in Palm Beach?" I'm like, "I hope I didn't sign the contract that it's a Miami to Palm Beach, and that's why it's cheap." And then we get communication with the operator. Actually, when they took off and they went to when they started climbing, they had pressure problems, so they landed in Palm Beach. We couldn't find a solution. We got with the same operator, they could not fix the AOG. We had to get another aircraft. We got another aircraft. But yeah, I mean, mid-flight AOG clearly happened, but it is what it is, and you got to be ready for it. Yeah. But yeah, so talking about the AOG side, you mentioned a couple of stories, but what was like the most challenging one that you had issues with, whether crew, whether with the aircraft? How did you find the recovery? How do you deal in these situations? Like, you have an AOG now. Go. What are you gonna do?
So if I get the unfortunate call from an operator or a supplier that we cannot operate your flight, we have a technical issue on board. First thing that we do is we advise the client. Hey, client, don't head to the airport. Give us about an hour. We have a technical failure. We're working on your replacement aircraft. Please hold on the line or stand by for our call. We'll update you shortly. The next thing we do, we check with our supplier if they have alternative aircraft that can offer. We always want to go to the same source to be able to find us an alternative option, obviously because the financial transaction already happened with that supplier. We're going to try to make it work without having to go through any financial hardship for ourselves or for the client. Next thing we do, we also check the market to make sure that there are not cheaper or better alternative aircraft in the area. And we also need to find plan A, plan B, and plan C to be able to provide a confirmed option for the client to fly out in the same time frame or within 1 or 2 hour delay maximum. Obviously, if you can find a replacement aircraft within the same operator, you work it out and then good. But at the same time, you're working on plan B, plan C. We have a team of about 12 brokers. that when we have situations like that, we send a
All hands
message
on
on our group chat, all hands on deck, drop what you're doing, get on the phone, and let's source for an aircraft. Obviously, every broker has different relationships with different suppliers, so they start with their first options are their good relationship suppliers, and then we start looking at the market little by little. When it's time critical, you don't really have the option to look at the whole marketplace. You want to go with the most effective reactive operator that you can find.
Right.
And in most cases, what we even deploy aircraft without from our suppliers, not even making payments. We just confirm, hey, contract signed, please deploy an aircraft. Make payments later. We'll make all those arrangements. Let's get the client out as soon as possible, as safely as possible, and as elegantly as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So as you're working, you worked in the U.S., you worked in Dubai, you worked around the world. How do you see the differences between the client expectations between every region?
That's a really interesting question. Obviously, I started my career in the United States. United States private aviation is considered as standard air taxis, the equivalent of Uber of the skies, right? People call you, they order jets, they want to go from point A to point B. The service level is really low in the U.S., so you don't really get the fancy aircraft interiors, the fancy service on board, the fancy flight attendants, fancy crew. Go. Pretty much you get go now, point A to point B type of operation. In Europe, it gets a little bit more elegant, but they're more about safety. They're more about security, compared to U.S. airports. European and African airports are ultra secure, ultra filtered. Standards are somewhat high. Really not as high as the Middle East, but much higher than the U.S. And then you have Africa. Africa is all about last minute flexibility. So African clients in general always, changing their minds about times of departures and dates of departures, or they're coming late because they're booking a jet and they want to fly at their time and not at the private jet's time, right? And then you have in the Middle East, it's all about glamour and luxury. So Middle Eastern flights are going to be with operators that have the best aircraft, most modern. They don't operate on light jets or mid-sized jets or super mids. Everything is just G4 and above, Challenger 604, 605 and above. It's got to be sexy. It's got to be big. It's got to be luxurious. It's got to be bulky. So that's how different industries, differ from one another. But what we do is we try to standardize the service as much as possible. So somebody flying with us from the U.S. will have the same level of standards somebody flying from us with us in Dubai or in Europe or in Africa, because the key thing, this is why IABI is super interesting, and how you can incorporate all these different the models of aviation and around from around the world, is that if you are well educated in aviation, you can standardize it as a broker really easily. But if you're a broker that's only focused or grown or experienced in the US, you're unable to really attend to African, European, and Middle Eastern clients. But if you are, if you understand the cultural demographics around flying private around the world, you're able to standardize a strong service and give your clients strong service everywhere around the world. And standardization in brokerage is extremely important. You want to make sure that you differentiate yourself from other brokerage firms. And how you do that is by providing ultra high level of service. Everybody, for example, in the US says, oh, we have the best service. You don't understand what the best service is. Right. Because you've never flown private in Dubai.
Right.
Fly private in Dubai, and then you'll understand what the best service is.
That's why
it's like flying with American Airlines versus Emirates or Etihad. That's like night and day, man. You cannot tell me you have the best airline in the world or the best service in the world if you did not fly on the best airline in the world or try the best service in the world.
Yeah.
So that's what really differentiates us from a lot of different brokers around the world. And that's why educating them on this piece is extremely important. Is that we need to teach brokers all around the world what is the best service, because I hear them all saying we got the best service now. Providing a limousine to an airport, taking off on time, it is not the best service.
That's not
right.
You know what, the word luxury and excellence, they're used a little bit too often.
Right.
And I feel like it not that it lost its value, but it's just that people misuse it a lot because they don't know what it means. They don't know what luxury means. They don't know what excellence means. Best service for me is not the best service to you.
True.
And that's we do our best to make sure that people understand our positioning, how we're positioning Jetex Partners, is because we have the ability to cater to different markets at that best service level. And the best service for the US is price. You know, they're very price sensitive. I was working on my very first deal a couple of months ago, and I lost it over $150.
Ew.
$150 on a $30,000 flight. We were like, all right, well, Younes is going to close this. He's going to close his first flight. And I was very confident about it. And he throws me a quote, a competing quote at $150 less. And he's like, I'm going to go with these guys because you can't go any lower.
Yeah,
Like,
but they will
what?
learn their lesson. They would, like, honestly, this happens a lot. Like where I see some, like, I would get a client and then I would give them a price, and then they will come back to me with the same aircraft that I have at a way cheaper price. The brokers, like, as you said, like, you need an LLC, phone number, an email, and now you become a broker. But where's
Cost of operating different brokerages depend on how big they are, right? So the bigger you are as a broker, the higher the markup you have to sustain
right
business with, right?
But the client that goes with these new brokers that are not really familiar, they should expect the kind of service that these guys are new. They don't know what's operation, what's flight operation, what flight catering is, the standards of following up with your client prior to the flight, after the flight, with the assistant, making sure everything is done. And then once they try and things hit the fan, they will come back to us and be like, you know what? Okay. Especially, as you said, like, we're Middle Eastern operator, and the standard here is different.
Yep.
I worked as a sales and operators in the US. Like, for example, catering was not included. You, as a broker, you manage your own stuff.
How do you not include catering on a private jet flight? I mean, to me, that's absolute insanity. But because the market is so competitive in the United States, people offer you just dry aircraft to charter, and then you as a broker need to put everything together, which is, again, why brokers are important. Because brokers are not just brokering the transaction. They're brokering logistics, operations, onboard catering. They're brokering the whole customer service side of it.
True.
And the operators are providing aircraft. But here in the Middle East, for example, we're out in Dubai now, operators do everything for you. So you're only brokering the transaction.
Right.
Which is why brokering out of Dubai is much easier than brokering out of the US. Our most complicated trips, to me, from like a simple point A to point B charters, are the US charters, because the broker is a lot more involved. So our business model, again, is based out of a US brokerage and operating worldwide. So we understand how involved the broker needs to be in an operation, because we do operate in the US, and we understand what needs to be done with a Middle Eastern style operator, because again, sometimes these operators go overboard, and they're charging customers for services that the customer doesn't really need. Customer might not want to go to a 7-star private jet terminal that costs $6,000 to handle your flight.
Right.
Maybe you want to go in a more discreet area. So you need to understand your customer. You need to be able to place your customer's price points or money in the right services. So a lot of these brokers out here in Dubai, they think that every single customer wants ultra luxury, wants clout, wants to be exposed, wants to be put in these ultra luxurious scenes, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them just want to be discreet and pass by a super efficient FBO and not pay the extra $6,000 to go through Jetex, for example. That's ultra luxurious, beautiful space, but very expensive as well to operate in and out of. So these clients are sometimes here in the Middle East paying for services they don't need. So they do need to rely on a good broker that is going to find them a good aircraft, is going to provide them good services, and avoid extra charges for nothing. If I can save my customer $150 on a trip, I will save my customer $150 on a trip. Just because they can afford to lose $150 doesn't mean that I got to make them lose $150.
Of course.
And this is where training comes in. This is where good education comes in. And like I said, anybody with an email address can call himself a broker and prospect his cousin, prospect the mom and dad because they have money, and then try to make a name out of that for themselves out of that initial business. But they're just not properly trained and properly knowledgeable to execute those flights. And this is where entities like programs like IABI and they're going to become super fundamental to the industry, because anybody can come in, but the risk of them doing a really bad job grows exponentially.
Yeah,
with every new broker that comes in. And
also, honestly, the mistakes in this industry are not easy to take, to handle. Like, you do one mistake and now you're charged back $50,000 or
mistakes cost a lot of money.
I remember one time I had this client and they're communicating with me over text message. He prefers text messages. And I had two options for him. One was a light jet, and the other one was I think super mid-sized jet. but the price difference is only $4,000. So I showed the client, I was like, listen, it's $4,000. You're 6 people. I really don't recommend going on the light jet. Just do that. And he was like, no, I like it. It's okay for me. Proceed. I send the contract. The contract has the pictures of the aircraft. He signs the contract, make the payment through Amex. Once he reached to the plane, he's like, this is too small for us. We're not going to fly on this plane. And he does a chargeback. We try to communicate with Amex. I showed them screenshots of all the conversations that we had with them. They were like, communication is not, the communication way was not professional, so we're going to refund the money.
Yeah, that's Amex.
That's $26,000 of loss. Now, that happened like about 3 years ago or something. A month ago, I had a gold flight from Malawi, I think, or Nairobi. I think Nairobi to Dubai. And we had this trip booked. All communication was through WhatsApp. But I supported this communication via email. And the client was like, okay, the papers was not ready today. It's going to be ready tomorrow. Can you please delay one day? I was like, okay, I'll delay one day, but you're making me lose money. So every extra day is a $30,000. He was like, okay, no problem. I was like, okay, no problem. Send me an email saying that you will not dispute these charges that you have on the credit card, and I will delay the flight for you. We did it, delayed one day, second day, and then after that, we had already trips booked on the schedule, so we continued with our flights. A week later, files a dispute. And we win the dispute because we followed it with the right communication but
Audit trail.
Audit trail.
Audit trail is extremely important. Every trip that we operate was operated under the right audit trail for anybody to be able to inspect us at any single moment, whether it's internal or external. Audit trail, organization, structure is important for any business. I'm not talking just aviation. Any business needs to be structured, needs to be audited properly. The best businesses are the ones that you can come in and audit any operation immediately. And that's how we feel every single one of our trips is booked and is executed with proper audit trail. I do not allow our salespeople to be able to communicate with, it means no communication. WhatsApp, phone call, text messaging, iMessage, or whatever it is. Sometimes even Facebook and Instagram. But we have proper audit trail. Everything needs to go by email. Everything needs to be traced. The client needs to have the ability to go back to the communications. We need to be able to go back to our communications. Every phone call is recorded. Every text message is recorded. So the idea behind this is to provide a strong structure for us to be able to audit on the go. Right. I want to know at any given point what my salespeople are promising our customers, because it's my responsibility to deliver on those services. So again, if anybody's operating a new brokerage firm or anybody's starting, start with the basics. Starts with proper structure, start with good audit trail. All of this will save you in the end, because what is really bad is if you start a business and you start being successful and you get a big hit because you don't have proper audit trail or you don't have proper structure and organization in your processes. It will ruin 6 to 8 months of really hard and good work. You could be, having the most brilliant marketing strategy, the most brilliant delivery, the most brilliant services, but if you don't have proper audit trail, you can lose it all overnight. In one up, you can lose everything. So it's super important to have a good structure and good SOPs within your organization internally.
Yeah, they're painful. They're not easy to implement, or they're not easy to enforce. I think humans, we're all very prone to choosing the path of least resistance, right? So we want to go the easy way. And,
shortcuts.
And when money comes in,
I think it's easy because I have him.
There you go.
money comes in, you don't think about contracts. You don't think about paperwork. You don't think about whether it's in a CRM or not. You don't think about disputes. But you have to be ready if those things happen. Yassine and I have a style where we keep tabs on what's going on, like he said. So when things go into the system, when there is a contract sent out, we read whether that thing was sent out properly. Say, oh, you didn't do it properly, do it again. Change it in the system. It doesn't reflect the right data. And they get pissed a little bit. They get annoyed by it, but it's in everyone's best interest. Not only the company itself, but also the salespeople themselves. Because if they ever screw up, if they ever make a big mistake that costs us or the company tens of thousands of dollars, they're going to be getting a lot of heat. So we're telling them, just make sure that you're protected, right? So if we want you to keep an email trail, an audit trail, it's not to spy on you. It's not to annoy you. It's not to, keep tabs on what you're doing. It's to make sure that the job is done
safe.
properly for everybody's sake.
Right.
I think that
it's heavily undervalued.
And I think that every single broker, and I'm talking to all these new brokers that are joining the industry via, different academies or that are interested in jumping into aviation, every broker needs to be backed by a veteran of the industry or needs to be mentored or accompanied by a veteran of the industry. So my biggest advice is like try to get involved with somebody that has experience, has the time and willingness to teach you and show you the ropes, because people that are really passionate about aviation like myself and Younes and you, we will help anybody that asks for help, because we love what we do. We want our, anybody that uses private jets to be protected, to be safe, to be happy, to be satisfied. So one day they could, come back in our book of business. One broker could ruin the experience for one client and ruin it for the rest of us. We need to, help these people out. And this is something that I really find very useful for new people joining to the industry. Be backed by somebody that has experience, whether it's a company or a specific person you trust or a pilot, or be backed by somebody that can give you vital advice.
Mentor.
Yeah, mentors are extremely important.
Mentor, support. I mean, the least contract we sign, like usually the average is like minimum $20,000. We have trips that go up to $300,000, $400,000.
Even in the millions.
Yeah. And yeah, like even the evacuation flight was in the millions. But as a new broker, you don't want to be handling these kind of contracts and values by yourself, because again, one mistake can get you out of business and make you shut down the business. I agree 100%. What do you think a mistake a lot of brokers do in this industry, whether it's for the clients or for the in the private aviation industry?
Oh, I know that. Can I answer that one?
Please.
CRM.
That is such an internal answer. If it's not in the CRM, it doesn't exist, says Younes Ezzaki.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's not in the system, it doesn't exist. I live by that. And every industry that I've worked with, in like a broker perspective, 75% of brokers don't have a CRM. Can you believe that? They think they can just throw everything in an Excel sheet or in a
Email,
WhatsApp conversation or an Apple Calendar. They're like, oh, I'll remember that. And then boom, AOG, and you don't even remember what that flight was. You don't even know what the client paid for it. You don't even know what the contract was signed. You don't
Especially
know anything.
with companies like ours, where we have a significant amount of volume that, there's things happening on a daily basis, bookings happening daily. So it's important to keep track. But for me, I think that the biggest mistake that new people to the industry make is that they trust that everything will go well. They trust their suppliers. They trust the airport. They trust the weather. They trust the crew. And I don't say this so to kind of tell people not to trust anybody. No, what I mean by trust is that you need to be in control of your operation when you're a broker. That is your added value. If you don't do that, then you're brokering a transaction like a bank or like a credit card processor. That's not your role. Your role is to make sure that execution is exactly, or if not better, than what you promised your customer. So do not trust that your operation is going to go well. Be on top of it and make sure it's going to go well. Be on top of it from the moment of booking. A lot of brokers think that because they received a contract from a supplier that it's a feasible flight. Not true.
Yeah,
it is absolutely not true.
Right.
80% of the contracts we get are not executable.
Yeah.
80%.
Right.
We get a booking, we got operations as a contract, it is not executable. So what we've done is we have an in-house operations department that is manned by an ex-pilot, ex-military, ex-OCC manager that vets every single contract that we get. So when we get send out a contract to a customer, it is already vetted by our operations department, making sure that the flight is 100% feasible. Next step is when we get the contract from the supplier, our operations department vets that that's possible. So our job is not to trust. Our job is to ensure that the flight is feasible. And at that point, we move on to private jet terminals, ensuring that the terminals are trustworthy, are good to execute, ensuring the weather is good, ensuring that the limo company is going to come on time. So do not trust your suppliers.
Never.
Make sure that it's executed as per your promise of delivery to the customer.
Never. So I have a sentence for you. I want you to complete it. So if it flies, if it sails, and if it drives,
Rent it.
That's how he's.
I like how you replaced the drive one.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Okay, before we finalize on this, which operator would you like to give a shout out to, or any operator? You love their operations, how they treated you, how they work with you. You want to give them a shout out?
I would personally want to give a shout out to anybody that, you know, goes into the market and builds, you know, an AOC and buys aircraft or leases or manages aircraft, because it is not an easy task to do. It is an expensive endeavor. It is an operationally complex endeavor. It is a massive headache. So I give a shout out to all new investors and all new operators in the market. I've always been a big support to new operators. I just met, I think we last night we were sitting down with a brand new operator that's coming into the market here in Dubai, offering our help, offering our services, because we want them to excel, wanted to be the greatest. But a big shout out to also the operators that are, you know, been in the market for a very long time, FlexJet, VistaJet. You know, these operators have accompanied us as brokers in our endeavor for a very long time. So though they are, you know, the big names of the industry, the big conglomerates that run aviation, mad respect for that, because they have always been there for us and supported us in our growth. Big respect to African operators who are today, we see, are growing in their standards. They're going from being the underdogs to having more, imposing aircraft, more imposing services. Very proud of a lot of African operators out there that are growing. Same thing as in Latin America. I have a lot of respect for the operators from third world countries that are out there fighting against, Western operators that are more established, that have more capital, that are that have bigger reputation, have access to volume booking so they can increase revenue and be able to scale their business. So I have a lot of respect for the underdogs, which is why we've also built our business model around supporting operators that don't have the right infrastructure or the sales force to be able to compete against these big operators. We also represent a few operators around Africa. And what we do is we place their aircraft in European tenders and marketplaces to be able to compete against these bigger operators and more established operators. But
yeah, brother. I mean, honestly, yes, I shout out to everyone that operates and tries their best, because honestly, like when I deal with brokers, I'm the point of contact for the broker. But when I turn around, I'm dealing with pilot, I'm dealing with cabin attendant, I'm dealing with mechanic, I'm dealing with the FBO, I'm dealing with the handler,
flight support,
flight support. Like for the broker, I'm the point of contact. But for me, it goes out to all these people and all these people working together to make it happen. It's not an easy operation, but well, that was beautiful.
It's extremely complex.
Yes.
It's a complex operation. I've come from multiple industries. So Yassine has been in aviation for a while. So he knows the ins and outs, the ins and outs. And I have that ability to compare. So I come in with kind of a neutral set of eyes. I've been in luxury, I've been in real estate, and now in aviation, and it's a very, very complex industry, but unfortunately lacks education, lacks training, despite it being the most complex industry I've been in. And I think that all actors in the industry, so operators, brokers, affiliates alike, we all have this responsibility of sharing knowledge and training, and I think this is what we're doing today as well, maybe directly or indirectly, but we need to make sure that whoever comes in this industry understands the responsibility of what they're doing, because they're handling not only expensive pieces of machinery, but also lives. Right. And they should not take it lightly. If anybody enters this industry for the paycheck, is doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they really need to understand and appreciate the complexity of it, and that will help them do a better job.
Yeah, which is why mentorship is extremely important. Yeah. I've trained and built hundreds of brokers in today's industry that are today CEOs of their own companies or sales managers and directors of different companies and operators around the world. And what I learned from my 15-year career is that training is extremely important in growth. Now, it sounds very basic. Sounds, very basic. Yeah. But none of the companies I've ever worked for as an employee trained me right.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to change today. That's something I've already started to change. I've changed my career, and I've seen the success stories of people that I trained 6-7 years ago. I've seen the success stories of people that I trained even 2 years ago. People that I trained a couple of years back that are today running their own companies, doing a great job in Europe, in the Middle East, in US. And for me, that will be the next step of my career. Is I'm going to be focusing on training people. I'm going to be focusing on, sharing the knowledge that I have in this industry, and making better professionals out there to better serve, the future generations of clients and
private
and
aviation
brokerage firms. Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, this is the reason IABI existed, because in this market, anybody jumps in and becomes a broker. And then think about it this way: to become a real estate broker, you need a license, and you need to work 2 years to get that license. You need to work 2 years under a brokerage until you get the license. To become a yacht broker and sell $20 million yacht, you need to work under a brokerage for 2 years so you can get the license. But to become a private jet broker and sell an $80 million plane, you don't need no license.
You need no LLC.
There is no training. And we found this. Hopefully one day we hope that IABI becomes a partner with the FAA and we regulate this industry, because the reason for the licensing in the real estate and the yacht business is two things. First of all, is to protect the consumer.
Yes.
They want somebody who's trained, who's experienced, that can help the customer that wants to buy the boat or wants to buy the apartment, the house, and serve them. But secondly, is to protect the broker themselves, because they want to know how to be protected, whether it's documentation, whether it's disclosures, whether it's what to mention, what to discuss with the client. So, I mean, hopefully all of us right now here and with the future, with the people that are working with us, help improve the industry, regulate it more, provide better lives for our brokers, and at the same time for our customers.
Yeah, I think in sales and acquisition, it's a lot more straightforward than in the air charter business, because in sales and acquisition you go through escrow companies that kind of control the transaction very similarly to what we see in real estate. There are those transactions that happen just between owners unregulated and unescrowed. But the majority of transactions that happen in aircraft sales and acquisitions are accompanied by attorneys, accompanied by escrow companies. It's pretty straightforward. What really lacks massive regulation is the air charter industry itself, because I get calls from concierge people that are in charge of bookings. Not that that's a bad thing; it's a great thing, because these ultra high net worth individuals concentrate their luxury service into one company. But then the transaction after that is not regulated. It's not certified. It's not overseen. It's only sort of overseen by the operator who's delivering the services at an airline. When execute, they are
Everybody makes their own rules.
backed by an authority. They're all backed by a regulatory administration that ensures that the flight is operated safely. But then nothing between the transaction from the operator to the concierge company is regulated. So that's the gap that today we're trying to fill with regulating the industry, trying to fill with academies, trying to fill with certifications. And it's really complex because you have different civil aviation authorities around the world. You could be in the U.S. booking with a broker in Spain. So what authority is going to regulate that transaction? Is it the U.S. authority or the Spanish authorities, right? So the idea is to start, concentrating on building the right authority to legislate this and work with different and local authorities around the world in major booking countries to be able to regulate and oversee every single transaction that happens in the air charter industry. Very similar to what we see in yacht bookings and maritime industry. We need to start seeing that more in aviation.
I really hope so. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to Dubai.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be on your podcast.
It was amazing. We shared a lot of stories. Like it gave me goosebumps about the old days on how we worked together. And I hope we work together soon. Please continue booking with me.
Always.
Just no AOG, please.
Yes, I promise you. I promise. That was a joke, guys. That was a joke.
When you book with Iyad, just ask him when his last AOG was.
Yeah.
3 days ago, just get concerned.
Yes. So if I didn't have an AOG in 3 days, I got you. All right, my guys. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in on the Jet Podcast. Please make sure to subscribe and follow us on social media, and we look forward to see you on the next episode.